Welcome for those of you who are watching this. I'm just going to share a little bit of insight into my story because a lot of people do not know where I came from, and I believe being transparent with this will help shed light as to where I was before and where I am now. So, who am I? For those of you that don't know, my name is Armand. I'm here to share my story with you. I wrote this so you guys can follow along. I grew up in a small, I'm talking small, 500 square foot studio apartment in New York City. This is the Lower East Side. There was six of us, not a bedroom in sight. One of the six was a newborn. I became an uncle at 12 years old. And I watched my parents sleep on the floor every single night there. I slept right next to my sisters on a mattress on the floor. I didn't feel seen. Money was tight. The neighborhood I lived in was super ghetto, full of gang violence. So what did this mean? I couldn't wear red, white, blue. There were too many gangs in that area, so I couldn't wear certain clothing because of the threat of getting jumped. And I've been enrolled multiple times by gangs where they would come to me and threaten me with violence because of the colors. Walk to school daily by myself since the third grade. I've seen it all. Any crime you can think of, I've probably witnessed firsthand. I've even been chased with knives and guns on different occasions. Not fun. And the idea of wealth seemed like a dream only lucky people could achieve. I always saw money as a source of stress because that was all around me. My parents had no money, even though they both worked W 2 jobs. They were cautious with it, as if it would run at any moment. I accepted wearing uncomfortable clothes with holes in it, beat up shoes from Payless that never held up to the point I would have to super glue the shoe soles to keep it together. Because when I would walk, my soul would literally come out. It would come out of its place. It was insane. I worried if I was using too many paper towels, seeing my parents buy the cheaper, low quality food because it was 50 cents less. Paper towels we reused multiple times. It was a little nuts. Cockroaches and rats were the norm in the small apartment. I could only laugh at it now, but when I was little, I would have them crawl all over me. And I remember being in the bathroom throughout. If I woke up to use a bathroom throughout the night, I would have at least one out of every two times a rat just crawl right on me. Watching my parents get scammed time and time again by others, they even went through bankruptcy. And when I speak on this, I mean anyone that knocked on their door, they would accept, they would buy from because they were the kindest people in the world. They wanted to make sure others were actually being seen by them. Even if they didn't have the money, they put it on the card. The food we ate weekly, it was a rotation of canned sardines and tomato sauce, canned spam, canned Vienna sausages, canned corned beef, with rice, of course, because I'm Asian. But I want to tell you this, I didn't know any better. Like sometimes my parents would bring home KFC once in a blue or some other types of food, but let's say KFC for example. They would bring home maybe like five drumsticks, and there's six of us. They would bring home five drumsticks, and we would have the rice with it, and maybe like one of those little mashed potatoes or those little corn for all of us to share. It's just wild. I thought life was supposed to be hard. I thought people struggling was normal. I felt guilty as a kid for costing my parents money to the point where I'd be extremely thirsty after basketball practice, but I wouldn't ask for Gatorade because I thought it would cost too much. And looking back at this, whew, boy, I was thirsty at least halfway through each basketball practice. But I felt so bad asking my parents for Gatorade because I thought it cost too much at the time and I thought they couldn't afford it. No one really came to my games or practices or asked about my days. I felt alone. I was kind of awkward, but kind of not. Think of myself as a hybrid chameleon. I was a perfectionist. I thought that was the quickest way to attain love. I was both a nerd and a jock. Super weird. Doing what I thought was best to gain love. Back then, it looked like getting good grades, not because my parents told me to, but because I put the pressure on myself as a kid that it would mean I would gain more love from them. And that Honestly, it was not the case. I did not get more love. I did not get more attention because of the good grades. It was just a false, it was just a false belief I created in my mindset as a little boy because I had thought at the moment that that's what would get me more love and attention. It didn't. I never got anything less than straight A's until college. The grades didn't get me seen more. It was all a facade I could not understand. I brought this confusion into my teens and my 20s. I saw everyone trapped by their financial situation. Every paycheck was gone before they even had the chance to enjoy it. I saw this with struggle from my friends' family, myself. I was broke and I had a broke mindset. The only goal was to get a job and become a nurse just like my parents. That's all I thought. That's all I thought was possible for me because my mom, my dad, my sisters all became nurses. I thought that's the only thing that I should be. I didn't critically think for myself and I went along with the herd. But then I had a realization. I was living with 5 friends in a 2 family rental in New Jersey. I thought I was really cool because this was real life bachelor pad and all we did was host parties, we drank, we shot the shit, we just talked about sports all day and things that are just nonsensical. Not a care in the world. I just numb myself from all potential and all responsibilities. And one day, my landlord pissed me the fuck off for a reason I had no responsibility. And I decided I did not want to pay this asshole anymore. Here's what I came up with. What if I just bought a house and all my friends paid me rent? I didn't even know what this looked like. No one I knew had ever purchased a home. At the time, I had a scarcity relationship with money. I also had a hoarding relationship with money once I made a salary because I was so traumatized by my upbringing. Seeing my parents just not having anything, I wanted to just hold on to every dime and nickel and penny. And that's what I thought would get me, quote unquote, comfortable. I did not want to lose money like my parents, nor see it disappear. I was so attached to having money that I would save every single dime I could. I'm talking buying cheap food the same way I grew up. I was just self perpetuating this endless cycle because I loved being comfortable in struggle. So my food, it was coming from either Walmart or the Dollar Tree. Listen, at the time, Dollar Tree had items there that were canned, and learning from when I was little, I figured, why not? It's cheap, it's effective, it tastes good, it doesn't spoil. The highly processed foods because it was cheaper than higher quality. Yeah. If something was 10 cents cheaper but worse for my health, I would literally choose it. And you want to know how cheap I was? This is this is good. This is good. I would take a flight that I had a 7 hour layover because it was $20 cheaper than the direct flight. 7 hours because it was $20 cheaper. Like, and during those 7 hours, I wouldn't even buy a snack. I'm telling you, I would not even buy a snack because it would cost me money. So I wanted to save every penny. Here's another one. I bought gas only at night because I heard gas expands when it's warm. So filling it up when it's cooler late at night, it meant getting slightly more gas for my money. Fucking wild. Back to the story. I was already working, but I was also still addicted to the pain and suffering of doing things the hard way just to save a dime because I honestly did not know any better. With all the saving, I knew I had enough cash to use as a down payment to buy a house. And I remember I told my landlord I'm interested in buying a house. And all he did in front of my friends, because I told him in front of my friends, was laugh in my face. And he told me that it was not possible for me because he didn't believe, seeing the way I lived, that it was even possible for someone like me to have a house, to buy a house. I asked my friends if they would be cool to pay me instead of our current landlord. And they actually thought it was a cool idea and they preferred it. but they didn't even know I had it in me that that was an option. So what did I do? Fueled by my desire to prove my landlord wrong, here's what I did. Obviously, I bought a house, and not just any house. I realized my landlord was making 2 times the rent because it was a two-family house. So what did I buy as my first property? A two-family house. Genius. Genius. I lived in one unit with my friends paying me monthly per bedroom. I rented out the other unit to a tenant that I found. So I'm making 2 separate incomes there. I had no clue what I was doing. And I learned on the fly, reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts, reaching out to others and mentors with how to buy and manage rental property. I really was just putting this all together as I went because that's all I knew. First week, I had a flood in the basement from a backed up pipe. And that was literally a shit show in the middle of the night. 1 a.m. Imagine this. You're a new landlord. This is your first property. And in the middle of the night, you hear the tenant complaining from downstairs that there is literally shit coming out everywhere. And then you go to the basement. And what do you find? Shit flowing out everywhere. I didn't know where anything was. I didn't know where the water main was or how to shut off things. Like I had no clue who to call. I went on Google and I was literally picking up shit at 1 a.m. in the middle of the night. Ugh. I was honestly too naive and blindsided by my rage to prove my old landlord wrong that I jumped into this whole thing without being perfectly well versed. My perfectionism just stopped. I said, fuck that shit. No more perfectionism. Just get the shit done. And it proved to be one of the best decisions of my life. Not only was I living for free now, I was actually making a significant amount of money on top of the mortgage. So I had my nursing job that was paying me, and I also had now my tenants paying me. And quickly I found out this property was gaining equity fast as the time went on. Plus, it had tax benefits, which I had no clue about when I first bought this property, but icing on the cake. This fueled my desire to do this over and over and over again. And I would be lying if I said it became easier. It honestly did not become easier. I found out with each one that I just became better at solving problems. That's it. That's a whole big thing. After each one, I became better at solving the things that I had seen and talking to others who have seen it. So I became better at solving problems. Don't get me wrong. This was a lonely process accumulating assets. Here's why. Because it became harder and harder to relate to others. I wasn't just a party animal or prioritized going out all the time now. I found something meaningful because throughout the years, I started to learn what was important to me. I want to share this with you. They are my health, my assets, meaningful relationships, securing wealth for me and my bloodline, unlocking my truest potential in all aspects of life. Because if you don't have this, you won't live an abundant life. And when I say unlocking my truest potential in all aspects of life, all aspects, meaning physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. All of these have to interconnect. If one of them are lacking, you are not going to have that experience that you actually desire in your life. You're not going to have. You can't just be financially well off and your physical aspect isn't there. Why? Because you're not going to enjoy life. What's going to happen? You have all the finances, but you're not there physically. What if that cuts off 30 years of your life? You won't be able to enjoy it. Same as mentally, same as emotionally, same as spiritually. All of these have to interconnect to make sure they align and balance. Health. Health being number one and knowing the value of that. I only started to buy the highest quality organic foods, the highest quality organic supplements, regardless of the cost. I am not bringing that old Armand into my life anymore. I understand this. I know I'm worth the absolute best. Money is an energy, and I'm abundant in every area of life. I have more energy than friends who are 10 to 15 younger than me and people my age. Take it like this. If you were to see me, people guess my age, and sometimes they are 15 years off. I'm about to be 40 years old. 40. I'm about to be 40 years old. And yet people still come to me, seeing me at the gym, seeing me at grocery stores, thinking I'm 25 years old. That is a testament of how I take care of my body. That is a testament of how I take care of my mind. And that is a testament of how I treat all aspects of my life. I still enjoy an occasional glass of wine or a tequila socially once in a while. There's no fault in that. Live life. But I kicked very bad habits that weren't serving me. I started carrying less weight with all the things that brought me consistent pain, suffering, and anxiety. I was I was really in this downward spiral, which I had no clue how to get myself out of. But after I figured out how to get myself out of that hole, the sky was the limit. I did not have to numb myself anymore. I was creating my reality. Everything, honestly, at this point, everything was becoming much more fun. I wasn't stressed out, even though I didn't know I was doing exactly, but it was creating purpose in my life, and it was allowing me to see what was possible. And after I did this, I understood that my creating the reality actually brought me closer to my dream, my destiny. I discovered that wealth and realizing my truest potential isn't just about how much money I made or how I made it. It's about how I think about money, the energy behind my thoughts, and what's possible for me. I started learning about the psychological principles of wealth. I started learning about why and how I show up in this world. And I worked on my belief system to rewire them with beliefs that serve my vision. Now, I learned that scarcity is a mindset and a choice. Abundance is a mindset and a choice. You have the power to decide these things. I'm telling you this. Once you tap into that frequency, and we'll talk about this, once you tap into that frequency of living your desired reality, you have no choice but to live an abundant life. I absolutely guarantee it. I began shifting my thinking to embrace abundance and a meaningful life. Now, why should you even listen to me? It's not that I just grew up in a low income crime-ridden neighborhood. And I'm talking about that was the 90s. Right now it's gentrified, but back in the 90s, the 80s and 90s, that neighborhood, it was a wild, wild west. I'm telling you, there was so much violence. I was I'm going to share something with you. There was so much violence in that neighborhood that I actually was carrying a knife with me as a little boy at a young age, hidden. I had it hidden, especially when I wore a jacket. I had it hidden here, a knife hidden here, because I thought that I would get jumped, and I didn't know how to protect myself at that time. And honestly, that's when I actually started working out too. I didn't start working out so I can look good or get better. I literally started working out in the second and third grade because I thought that I needed to be stronger to defend myself. And I thought looking bigger, imagine that at second and third grade, I thought that looking bigger was the road to not getting jumped and to actually defending myself. Wild. Lived a life growing up not feeling worthy of love. Or worked as an ICU nurse, stroke program coordinator for over 10 years. And I retired with all the passive income I needed because I purchased multiple cash flowing properties while working a job. Or how my net worth is over multiple seven figures and I created the freedom to do whatever I want when I want. Or how I finally held up a mirror to myself of all my toxic traits of shame, guilt, neglect, and anger to actually open the doors to create my desired reality. It's because I am now no longer a victim to my upbringing and my circumstances. Using the principles of energy, mindset, and so much more, I completely changed my life. And so can you. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I learned how to amplify the best parts of me, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes it took me over 10 years to learn. I walk you through all the steps it took me to get there, and my mission for you is this. From any starting point, unleashing the power of profound personal and financial growth, deep connection, and purpose-driven living. It took me so long to figure out all of this. I give you all the tools I used to go from a professional working 9 to 5 to now creating a life of profound generational wealth and health to realize your truest potential. And also how to buy an investment property in the next 90 days. Take a look at the curriculum located in the classroom, as well as a calendar for what to do now and what to expect. I am honestly really honored that you're here, that you are able to listen to my story, and I would love to hear about your story because I love learning about others. There is something special about human connection, friendships, new friendships, and just getting the support and care that we never knew we needed. And that's what I gave to myself, and that's what other mentors gave to me. And learning all this through all the books, podcasts, seminars, everything that I've consumed in the past 10 years, I have given myself that gift, and I also want to give you that gift. I will see you inside. Take care, guys. Have a good one.